a front row seat to the untold stories as we talk about how to live life on your terms. You're officially part of the inner circle. Welcome to Courtside with Courtney. And don't worry, I comped your ticket. Welcome back to another episode of Courtside with Courtney. Today we have everybody's favorite guest.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. My mom.
Good morning.
Good morning. It is a good morning. It's a beautiful day today. I do think it's going to be really hot again today. I've been loving the fall mornings, so I'm not so stoked on it being really hot today, but no complaints. It's a gorgeous day. Have my second cup of coffee and I'm ready to rock.
Let's go.
You canceled a meeting to be here, right?
I did.
Thank you. We appreciate you, your service. I want to talk. We've had you on 2 episodes.
One
Episode?
One.
No, we really only did 1.
Yes.
That was a heavy one, though.
That was a heavy one. That one.
It felt, yeah. I forget sometimes whenever we're talking on the podcast, I sort of forget we're on the podcast. It's like a real life conversation. And so it sort of blurs the lines for me because obviously I talk to you all the time. But this is our second episode then, I guess, together. The first episode, if you guys missed it, absolutely go back and watch it or listen to it. Obviously, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all the places. We talked everything from losing my dad, the grief of that, our own perspectives, relationships, your thoughts on my divorce, like all the things.
Yep.
We talked more like really heavy things in the first episode, but it's a great one. It was actually one of y'all's most favorite episodes and one of our most viewed and listened to episodes. So if you haven't checked that one out, absolutely check it out. We'll link it in the show notes for you guys. Today, though, I want to talk about like generational differences or life lessons. Can I say how old you are?
Yes, you.
Slay queen. Liz is 68 years young. Okay. I forget you're 68. You're still 67 in my mind. But Liz is 68 years old. You're gorgeous. You're stunning. You're graceful. You're kind. You're thriving.
Sweet.
Your arms slay. I mean, you're just truly living your best life. Look at her, everybody. She is out here living.
Too cute. You're a little butt.
I'm not biased. I think you are the people's queen. Everybody loves Liz. And if you don't, like, you're weird, but everybody loves Liz. So I would say we have a lot to learn from you. You're such an amazing mom.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not going to, not to hype you up too much. You're wearing out perfect, but
Hey.
We've all had our moment. No, I'm kidding. You're obviously such a good mom. And I was fortunate enough to grow up with you and be raised by you. Not everybody was, obviously. And I think people relate to us a lot because you remind them of their mom and their dynamic with their mom, or it's something that they didn't have and that they want to have, or find some sort of like comfort or get life lessons or interesting conversations and they get to listen to you, or it's something that they want to emulate and maybe their mom and they want to raise their kid and have a type of close-knit relationship that we have because they didn't have that, etc. So no matter what you're listening for, just a little entertainment, I feel like there's a lot of value that you can add because 68 years is a lot of life on earth.
That's a long time.
Yeah. We're 31 years apart, which is cool because Kinsley and I are 30 years apart. You and Leah are 30 years.
30.
Yeah. I guess
that's our mark.
Shields girl thing.
That's our mark.
But I want to talk about how to conduct yourself in a graceful manner. Because I think for me personally, it can be hard sometimes. Like sometimes I look at myself like bird's eye and I'm like, wow, I handled that so well. I'm really proud of myself. And sometimes I'm like, got a little spicy on that one, girl. Like you got a little pissed off, or that person got under your skin. Or the other day I was out to dinner with my boyfriend, who you know, obviously, and a couple of his friends. And there was this girl sitting at a table like adjacent to us. I told you this, but I'm telling the people on the podcast. And she is like dating someone that I used to talk to, I think, or like friends with them or hooked up with them or whatever. And I like I saw her face because I've like seen her out before and she's always hella weird around me, like weird energy. I'm a girl's girl. I don't give 2 flying fucks, to be honest. If I'm not with somebody anymore, I couldn't care less. If they're happy with somebody else, amazing. By all means, I didn't want you.
You're not with them for a reason.
Yeah, I didn't want you. So go on to other pastures and I hope that works out for you. Genuinely, we wish you well. But so it's weird to me when people are weird around me. Like if you have a new girlfriend, I could literally not care less. I hope that you're happy.
Okay.
And that goes for like Alex too. People always ask me like, what do you think of that situation? It's like, I don't think much of it because I want the best situation for Kinsley there. I want him to be happy and her to be happy, and like whatever works for them is great for me. Clearly, if I'm not with someone anymore, it's because I don't want to be. And so I want them to be as happy and whatever, like on the great, barring a few people in my life who like I will say I genuinely don't want them to be happy, but most people I'm like, good on you, like whatever works. So I don't bring that type of energy because I simply am indifferent. I don't care. So when people have that kind of energy, it's weird. It's hard for me. So this girl was like sitting there and I walk up and I literally hear her say, oh my, no, she's right behind you. She just walked in. And my reaction is like, bitch, I can hear you. And I don't have a good time in those situations because I was saying this earlier today. I love women. I love girls. I want to hype you up. And my friends know this. And the people in my life know this. And Allie's standing off camera, nodding her head. Like, I will be your biggest cheerleader and hype you up. And I am here for the girls. Everything I do is for the girlies. Okay. And so when I see another girl and she looks amazing, or I love her outfit, or she's crushing it at her job, or I love her hair, I'm going to go and I'm going to go out of my way to tell her that. I'm going to be like, oh my God, I love your hair. It's so pretty. Or I love your outfit. Or I always want to hype you up. So when people come with like weird, negative, jealous energy, I don't know how to handle it. And I don't think I don't handle it well. It makes me so uncomfortable when you're being a weirdo. You're graceful in these situations. I'm not. Like, I want to look at you and be like, do you have something to say? Like, can I help you? Like, I get like really New York on people like that. The dad part of me comes. My dad, like, he didn't take shit. He just didn't. You're graceful. I think there's something to be said about both approaches. I think that there's a time and place for both, frankly. Because I do think there have been times where I think I turned the other cheek too many times. And I let people create a false narrative about me, and it didn't serve me. So I think speaking up for yourself and not turning the other cheek, being the bigger person, being graceful, I think that has a time and place. Like, hey, guess what? This didn't happen. Here's the real story. Or like, hey, if you have something to say, like, let's come over and have a conversation with me. But
yes,
I'm not going to allow you to like treat me a certain way. There's a time and place for that. There's a time and place to be graceful. How do you know when to do which, and how do you approach that?
Oh, that's a tough one. First off, I will say, and it's probably not a great thing to say, I think you're unusual in wanting the best for other women. There are plenty of women out there that is not their intent.
Yes.
And I think that's the first thing. I think you have to kind of realize that, which is unfortunate. But women are very jealous. Women
are very jealous. Women can be very catty, very mean, come from a negative place. Yes. And to your point, I am that way because you were that way. You are so graceful. You genuinely want the best for you. Like, you don't have a jealous bone towards like random women or like you always told me, and I remember this clear as day, there's always going to be somebody prettier than you, always going to be somebody that you're prettier than. There's always going to be somebody more successful than you, always going to be somebody that you're more successful than.
Right.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Like,
yes, it is.
Just because someone else is winning doesn't mean you can't also win. It's not related. And I wish that people could disconnect those two things. I think we would all be so much better. But to your point, I genuinely, from my core, because it's who I am and how I was raised, want the best for other people and other women. I want to see you win. But because that's my genuine intention, because that's how I was raised by you, because that's always been your genuine intention, I can't fathom or really understand people who don't feel that way. I don't get it. Yes. Like, it's hard for me to relate to it. So I think maybe it just makes me mad or like makes me frustrated.
Yes. Yeah. I think
because I'm like, what's your fucking problem? Like, I don't get it.
I think maybe to be able to deal with it, I kind of go at it differently. I kind of go
sad.
Yeah. I go, I'm so sorry. You must not be happy, or you must be really insecure that you think coming at me and trying to cut me down, that's not hurting me. It's hurting you because something's wrong in your life.
Totally.
And you're putting it on me. Now, maybe there are times they have reason to go at you that's justified, but I would say, and I guess that's how but it's over the years. Trust me, all this stuff didn't come right off.
Maturity.
Maturity, you learn to.
Were you spicier when you were younger?
I was spicier when I was younger.
You've also gotten a little spicier again back in your older age.
I was spicier when I was younger and my mouth moved before I really thought.
That's me. I'm like, you want to go?
Through my words. And I think now I have mellowed over the years, and I think I have learned to, instead of reacting, and I don't like confrontation. So there are times I wouldn't react because I'm
oh God, that used to make me so mad when we were younger. Like
I don't like confrontation.
When we didn't agree on something, my approach is like, let's talk about it. And she would just go silent. And oh my God, it would infuriate me. That's really the only time we ever clash is because our approach to confrontation, I would say. I'm like more dad.
Yes.
And you like turtle up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably from living with your dad for years too. Part of it is,
we come at you hot.
Yeah. But, like with him, I knew I was never going to win a word battle.
We are witty.
Win a word battle with him.
Yeah.
But it never would change my mind. So to me, it was just negative to sit there and go through that.
Yeah, I think we've learned over the years, as did because Dad and I would clash on that because we are so similar almost. So
yes,
you and I have learned over the years, as you and Dad did, to how to approach those type of situations. But we digress. So
yes.
Your approach essentially has just been sort of decide. I think it's important to decide if it's worth your energy or not.
Right. Plus, it's negative to me. And I am very strong about negativity is so bad for you. It's
no matter what.
Yeah. It's bad for your body. It's bad mentally for you. I truly think it physically affects you. And to hold negativity about somebody or angry.
Well, that's why it's sad for others. That's why it's sad for other people. Because like I said, I think there's a big difference in being graceful and conducting yourself in a kind way and getting walked all over and being a doormat. There's a big difference.
That's different. But, I think too, over the years, my circle, I have a lot of acquaintances. Mm-hmm. My circle of friends is very small.
Same.
And that has come with age again.
And lessons and the way people treat you. And by the way,
I don't need to be around the whole group of huge popular people because it's the social right thing to do. You learn, they're often the ones that are lovely in your face and not lovely when they turn from you. And you just learn over the years what's important. And I think I learned then to get my family was my circle and then a small group of friends. And
I think I've said this on other podcast episodes. I feel so grateful right now to have the friends that I do.
Yes. You have a great circle around you.
I have a great circle around me now, just really present day.
Yes.
It took me a long time. If you're listening to this and you don't feel like you have really good friends,
it takes
time to find your people, find your tribe. But I think if you stay true to yourself and you still have boundaries and you don't lower your expectations, you don't just hang out with people to hang out with people, you said, that you really do attract better friends into your life. Of course, be the friend that you want as well.
Yeah, that's huge too.
Very huge. You always taught me to when someone comes to you, don't gossip. When someone comes to you and they say, I want to talk to you about this, please do not tell anyone. You just don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember times when I was little and you'd be on the phone gabbing it up with somebody, again, talking about their life or your life, right? And I'm like, oh, what was that about? And you're like, none of your beeswax, girl.
No, I'm a vault.
Even to me.
I'm a vault. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know everything ever in my life.
Yep.
There is nothing good, bad, ugly, whatever that you don't know because I trust you explicitly. And I think that that's really important to show up in that way. You and I, as we've both gotten older, you always did an amazing job of being a mom. I think the older I've gotten, we're also friends.
Yeah. I think
we ebb and flow through that. And there's times when I'm like, I know your opinion about this. I just need you to now be my friend.
Yes.
Now listen, right? Versus I'm coming to my mom for opinion or feedback or whatever, right?
And that's hard. That's hard to balance the mom card with, wanting you to be a friend.
I think it's always a little bit of both.
Yes.
But I think at the same time, that's just all about communication. Hey, here's what I need.
Yeah.
Here's what I want. Here's what I expect. And then the person, does their best to do that. But I think you probably experienced a lot of that growing up because frankly, you've always been beautiful and you've always been kind. And I think sometimes, again, a note on our fucked up society, why do we not believe people that are physically beautiful can also be internally beautiful?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I do think I will say a lot of people who are very physically beautiful maybe aren't necessarily internally beautiful because they're placing their value on the wrong things. But if you're genuinely a kind person and you're not placing your value on your physical aesthetic or appearance, you're genuinely a kind person like you are, that's hard for people to digest because if you're as beautiful as you are and you're really as sweet as you are, it like people that are insecure, it makes them feel like shit about themselves.
Yeah. It's if you are happy and you've got a great marriage and they may be going to grave in the background. It's jealousy, which is just a nasty, nasty thing. And I don't know. I don't know how you get around that one. Jealousy is an ugly beast.
That's a generational difference. I always tell people too, like, I don't put your validity in like, do you have a partner or not? In your case, like maybe they're looking at you and they're like, oh, this marriage is great. Maybe in my case, they're looking at me and they're like, your career is great.
Like, your life.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
they're looking at
your
like,
life. Yes.
Seeing this, vision of perfection or whatever. Like nobody's life is perfect. Let's just say that.
Oh,
obviously.
Absolutely not. And you're very good though about saying in your industry, there's room for everyone.
Yeah.
You don't need to knock.
I said that on a panel.
Knock someone down to take their place.
Yeah.
There's plenty, hopefully you're all individual enough that there's a space for everybody.
If you are someone that sits there and compares yourself to other people, just know that's a you problem, not a them problem. Whenever someone comes to criticize me, it has nothing. I know it doesn't have anything to do with me.
Still can hurt though. That's human nature.
For sure.
Still hurts.
For sure. Sometimes. And sometimes it completely rolls, to be honest. It depends on maybe where I'm at that day.
I was going to say that also has come. You've learned that. I mean,
you have to have a thick skin.
Yeah, at the beginning, it would, you would take it all in and it was hard on you at the beginning.
I also wasn't as confident at the beginning as I am now because I hadn't really been through shit like I have now, and I'm pretty unshakable at this point.
Again, life, you've been through stuff. A lot of this is just, it's stuff you gain with what you've been through, age.
So true. But so how do you so you look at the situation and you approach it from a place of empathy?
I try.
And clearly you're not in a good place. Yeah. And then you just don't engage with those people. Mm-hmm. Like, do you feel like there's a time and place where, how do you stand up for yourself when it's time to stand up for yourself?
I probably I will distance myself from situations. There have been people in my life that are probably still friends, but I now keep them over here and don't
because they've hurt you.
Because they hurt me, or they're just you learn
their intentions aren't
their
good.
intentions are not,
and it's sad
what I want in my life, and it is sad. But you learn to surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you, and you care about them, and you don't have to worry about what they're reacting or saying to other people or to friends of yours. I mean, I've had friends that they wanted to be my only best friend, and then they would be not so kind to other people I were friends with because they needed to claim that spot. And that's just life. You learn over time. It's
very like middle school.
Yes, you learn over time that
to distance yourself from people. I think too, at the end of the day, unfortunately, someone's wishing of like ill intent on you, if you let that too close to you, your life will not flourish in the way that it can. If you allow negative people in your inner circle, if you allow negative people too close to you, their negativity will at some point hurt you,
Negative stuff, it washes across everybody.
And it's it's always it's not women, I'm going to say girls. It's always the girls that say things like, you come and you look beautiful today, right? And instead of being like, say we're at a girls' lunch, instead of being like, wow, you look beautiful today, I love your outfit, you're dressed up. You know what I mean? It's people like that I'm like, it's this weird undertone of like jealous, like you're so dressed up. Where are you going after this? And you're like, just tell me you're jealous without saying you're jealous.
But that's the stuff you just let it roll.
Yeah, but those my point is those aren't people I want in my inner circle.
But so you
like my friends, they show up looking good, or I show up looking good, and they're like, you are so pretty. You look so fucking good. Like, slay. Look at that outfit. I love it. Let me take a picture of you. Like, never would I be like, you look dressed up today. Where are you going? Yeah. It's like, just literally, you might as well be wearing a sign with a bright red, like blinking shirt that says, I'm insecure as fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then the other piece of that, then there's the other extreme of people who
kiss your ass.
Oh my gosh, you know how I feel about that.
I think you have to surround yourself with people who genuinely support you and lift you up and will tell you what you need to hear in a kind, respectful way when you need to hear it.
Right. Yeah, you don't need people that just want to be around you because of who you are now and what that's the other extreme. Those friends that are just, everything you do is fabulous and you are fabulous and you realize it's just because they need to brush up against you too. That's another whole piece.
Watch out. We get a little prickly around here. You know, I mean, a little porcupine spike might come off on you.
I know.
No, but really, it's like, I think that my true best friends, I have been around enough to know at this point now people's intentions or not, people's allegiances or not.
Well, it plays out in life.
Yes.
It plays out in your daily
It's
life.
obvious.
When you're up or when you're down, you know who's around for you and who you're with, who you're for when they have issues.
And I was just looking at Allie smiling because the people in my life, you, Allie, Kirsten, Audrey, Ava, like there are people in my life, Natalie, who like, I am protective of my energy and me. The people in my life who genuinely love me are also protective of me.
Yes. Yeah.
And I of them, but a little bit different based on what I do. But people will like come at Allie, message Allie, like, hey, can Courtney come to this or whatever it is? And she's a very good buffer.
Yeah.
You, Audrey, always very good judges of character. Anyone in my life that has come to bite me in the ass later, you or Audrey told me you didn't like.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's hard. I mean, that's also a hard conversation. And, like I have a hard time of not saying it 1,200 times.
Oh God, you're so annoying about that sometimes. I
know.
Literally, you're like, I know what you're going to say. Like you already told me 45 times.
I know. That's my fault. I have to learn to know that when I've said it to you, even though you may not love it or you may react. I do know I'm learning that I know it. You've held it back there and it's tweaking around, but I'm not good at that. I still have to keep,
Oh, you're like a woodpecker.
It's like, well, but she hasn't changed her, she's not changed what she's done yet. I need to hammer this home.
No, if I don't like end a friendship or break up with someone in 5 minutes, she's like, but I just want you to know. I'm like, bitch, I know. Like you've already told me.
It's like, you're wasting your time. Move on.
Yeah. But I will say there have been times when you've been wrong, but it's very rare.
Yeah. Well, hey,
people have proved you wrong. Let me say this. People have proved you wrong on occasion, but very rarely. There has never been someone in my life that disappointed me that you didn't spot though.
Oh, yes.
Like you're, I think, hypersensitive to it. So it's almost like there are people where you're like, I don't know about this person. Right. Maybe on the fence, they end up being great.
Yes. I am overprotective of your space now because of where you are in your life.
You see it and it's true. So it's either like you overshot and the person ended up being great or you saw it and it actualized or whatever. I also think I've gotten a lot better at actually like listening to you though.
Yeah, you have.
Over the years.
We've talked about it before. As close as we are and as you've gotten older and I've gotten older and our relationship has changed, oftentimes it's hard. You revert back to
teenage self or whatever.
And teenage Courtney. So sometimes you have to remember that, maybe
I'm an adult.
I say it in not such a kind way and you react as teenage Courtney.
Yeah.
So totally. That's something we are learning to evolve too, because it occasionally will rear that way.
Definitely. And again, maturity, experience. So instead of ever really saying something, you just distance yourself.
Yes. I think and I honestly, I can't think that far back. I don't know that I was always that way, but with age, I have learned to, there are times maybe something's legit, they said. So you do have to take that second and process it to be sure if you are getting negative. Check yourself. Be sure it's real. But if it's not, then instead of it upsetting me, I've learned to go, I'm really sorry. They must be having a rough time right now for some reason.
Sad for them.
I go sad for them so I don't have to hold the negativity.
100%. I also think it's all about intention. Kirsten and I talked about this on our Hey Girly message last episode. If someone's intention is not pure, it's easy to see. And then it is like, sad for you. If someone's intention is good and they genuinely love you and you love them and respect them and vice versa, the feedback obviously could be like legitimate. Like there's times you've given me feedback or I've given you feedback and I think we needed the feedback and we took it and we grow and you grow and you evolve. Yeah. So you can't have blinders on being like, oh, everybody's a hater that like doesn't agree with me. That's not what we're saying. It's just like you need to sort of learn to distinguish between people's intentions and maybe where they're coming from and why.
Yes.
Oftentimes if it is jealousy, then
feel sorry for them and move on.
But I think it's all, if you say something or not, it's all about your hope for the outcome. If this person has shown you who they are repetitively, believe them. And if you don't want them close in your life, then you can do that slow back away.
Yes.
If you have an interaction with someone that someone upsets you, you upset them, and you want them in your life because you do love them and they love you and they're important to you, you talk about it, I think. And you approach it and you say, hey, this really bothered me, or this, you said this, and what was the intent behind that, or whatever. Like,
yes.
I think if you want the person in your life moving forward, you have to talk about it and communicate it. Mm-hmm. If they've shown you time and time again that you don't want them in your life, then you can do a slow back away. Yeah. So I think it depends on the intent.
Yeah. Yeah. And if it's just something that's a constant,
they're always the same.
Slowly back away. You don't have to make a big event over breaking the relationship. Just slowly work yourself back so they're not in your daily life or in your,
Yeah. So our generations are really different. I would say there's pluses and minuses to both. Mm-hmm. I would say there's some things you guys did a lot better. Some things we do a lot better. Mm-hmm. I do think one of the things that has sort of been lost, besides like a lot of work ethic, honestly, in our generation is, again, comes with balance. Yay, beautiful. But I think that we've lost some etiquette. Some of that's bullshit. Don't wear white after Labor Day. The fuck? Like,
yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Some of that's stupid. Some of it's made up. Don't wear red to a wedding. Why?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. Like, there's weird things that should be let go of. And then there are some things that I think we've lost the art of, whether it be entertaining or the thank you note. You're like, the amount of times it's just got beat into me. You guys, did you send a thank you note? Did you send her a thank you note? So it's like, there are some things that I do think are like sad that we've lost in our generation, the art of what are those things, whether it be skills of entertaining or never show up to someone's house empty handed, write a thank you note. Like, those are some of the things that I can think you taught me off the top of my head. But what else do you think has been lost in our generation? I'm curious if I agree.
I think it's interesting. I think about it. I'm assuming part of it is definitely generational. I think some of it may be just pure Southern. Thank you notes. Thank you notes were huge to me. And the way I view it is, you're a great gift giver. You like giving gifts.
I do.
And you're excited for the person to open it and receive what you've given them. And I'm not saying if it's one-on-one, you and I are sitting there and I'm opening it, we're talking about it. But suppose you find this great gift and you send it to someone. You've taken the time to pick out a great gift. You're excited about giving it. The receiver needs to show that respect and thank you for the thoughtfulness, for whatever it is, but for taking the time to think of them in that way. I guess that's how I view thank you notes. Even more if you're not around.
Question. So it's 2024, super easy to pick up the phone, which it always wasn't.
Yeah.
Or send a text, which it always wasn't. Do you do both?
I do both.
So you text, say, hey, I got this, thank you so much, and you send a thank you note. Like, what's the
probably wouldn't
there?
Text. I would probably either call or thank you note. And there's just something, don't you love still getting mail occasionally? That's something that's handwritten to you. That's a level of commitment that person has made, of time. And I don't care.
Because it's sort of a lost art.
Yes. And I don't care if it's 2 lines. I don't care if just opened your gift. Thank you for thinking of me. It doesn't have to be a book.
Yeah.
I think to take that time to handwrite something, to me, it is just a very gracious response.
Classy. It's classy.
I guess it is. As a friend.
But again, you're classy. You're graceful.
To someone else. But
what else, though, besides thank you notes? Because that's like the thing that I could think of.
I hammer your daughter who fusses at me. She says, I'm the only one. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think it matters.
That's Southern for sure.
I think I'm going
to caveat. I'm going to challenge you.
I think there's a generational thing that we have lost, and partly because of my age, respect for older people. I think the good of that is you and I talk in ways that I would have never spoken to my mother, although I'm very close to her.
In a positive, like things about my life,
yes,
you wouldn't feel comfortable.
Communicate in a way that I would have never spoken to mom that way, even though she and I are very close, which is a positive. But the negative, I think we've lost a little bit of that respect for older generations. I think, and part of that's just our country. Everything that is young is exciting and new. And when you're a older or you're a grandparent, it's like, shh, you know, and I think there's such wisdom there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sad.
In a lot of other cultures, they really value
very highly regard the older generation. They live in their homes and they're so respectful of them.
You want to come live with me?
Hell no.
Can you imagine? I'd be putting you to work.
But you know
what? You're 80. What's for dinner, Liz?
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. I think
everybody remembers she said that now when she comes crawling back one day.
So I think I'm kind of sad that is disappeared some, which I think it has.
And again, it's the how do we balance the scale? Because like you said, we're way closer and on every level. You love your mom and you're really close to her.
Yeah.
But not like us.
Yeah.
Like it's not the same level of closeness, the friendship and the way that we talk about literally everything.
Right.
And so it's like, how do we almost bridge those
things? I don't know.
Like, how do you get both?
Well, like little things. I mean, like, you know, Kinsley will say something. She'll go, yeah. And I go, excuse me? Yes, ma'am. And I just think that's that's not a hard thing to do. And that doesn't keep you not close, but I think it's a respect.
Okay. But let me play the devil's advocate on this one. At the same time, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Every time one of my best friends walked in from high school, Miss Atia, it's Liz. It's not Mrs. Atia. Call me Liz. So like,
that's still, but I don't, I guess it's an extreme.
We do call you Liz because let me say this. I sometimes get like roasted. People are like, you call your mom Liz and not mom? How disrespectful. And it's like, first of all, let me say this. I don't call you Liz when I'm talking to you. Yeah. Unless we're in a room full of people and I can't get your attention, mom, and 14 people turn around, Liz. Other than that, like I call you mom. Yes. To you, I call you Liz when I'm talking about you, but you were adamant about all of my friends calling you Liz. You did not want to be called Mrs.
Right. So I guess there's some blend of the two.
Exactly. When we were growing up. So you don't find it disrespectful when like my friends call you Liz, right?
No.
That's what you requested it.
Yeah,
so it's like,
but that's okay. Cause that's kind of what I requested. I guess, you know, I guess you find that blend, but do
you see what I'm saying though?
Yes. But to me, there's just I guess there's a kindness in something like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Or would you get that from me, please? Instead of, would you get me?
Just having manners is what you're talking about.
I guess it is manners. You know, would you get me more crackers? Well, please. Oh, sure. I'd love to. Totally. There's something, I guess that is manners.
I also think too that like thank yous and stuff go such a long way in general. When you open the door for someone and they don't say thank you, I'm like, hello. Exactly. And then they say thank you and you're like, you're so welcome. I would love to do it again.
Exactly.
Like just being kind and going out of your way.
You're right. It's kindness.
It's like sort of like the equivalent of like walking around life with like life road rage. Like just be nice. Just say thank you. I appreciate you. It really does go a long way.
And what does it hurt you to say please when you ask for something?
So essentially it's like remaining timeless in a trend-driven society. Like, let's talk about that even like with fashion. Like, how do you...
Okay.
I would say you do a really good job of sort of maintaining your newness, your style, what you are comfortable with. I don't ever think you know what? You're so good about this in general, not feeling peer pressure to do something, buy something, say something. How do you stay so true to yourself when everything around us is constantly sort of marketed and messaged as like, we, especially as women, we need this, we need more of this, we need that, we need this bag and that, thing to your face and this hair and that, it's very like,
that's hard.
Coming from a place of lack, oftentimes, how do you stay so true to yourself in such a trend and visually focused society?
A couple of things. I think you blend. I mean, I have evolved in some things I do because of you, because you'll bring something, goes, here, you need this, or, but I think it's blending to try to stay current, but for yourself, what works for you. Plus, I am never very big at being like everybody else.
You've always done such a good job with that. I mean, growing up, we watched home videos the other day, which has been so fun to watch. Growing up, like, first of all, you've always been a vibe.
Oh, cute.
Always been a vibe, still a vibe, going to be a vibe. Liz is queen, it hands down. Because you're so graceful and kind and timeless and beautiful on the inside, it makes you more beautiful on the outside. But one of the things that you always did such a good job with and taught me growing up was like, what?
Oh, no, I'm laughing about
really be hyping you up today. Really did such a good job of teaching me was like, be different. And I tell Kinsley all the time, it's cool to be, and she'll go, different. Because I would walk into dance class And I would be in an all black leotard, onesie, tights, slick back bun. Everyone else is in floral print, tutu, the mum, the flowers, the this, the that, the 14 bows in their hair. And I'd come home in the curls. It's, the closer your hair is, the bigger the God, closer to God, whatever the expression is, bigger the hair, closer to God. And I would always come home and why can't I have a bow and a tutu? My mom would be like, no.
Used to when we first moved here, and everybody, love you guys in Austin, but everybody would have the little kids had on sweatshirts for every holiday that were painted with, the Halloween theme.
And the bows and the ribbons.
And then the huge bows in their hair. And here comes little Courtney in a flannel shirt and black leggings. And you would go, Mom, I need some of those big bows. I think it is a blend of trying to stay fairly current, but also what feels right for you. I mean, I still wear leggings. I wore leggings when they were not popular. But I think if you wear what you're comfortable in, I think you're confident.
You look better
and you look better. You may, I may have some fabulous, super expensive outfit on that someone said I needed it. And I don't carry it well because it doesn't feel like me.
Totally.
And I think if you dress to feel like yourself, I think you present much more confident, and I think you're more beautiful that way.
I recently had this discovery about myself when cleaning out my closet. I realized all the things that I was like, I love that, and I'm keeping it. I loved how it looked, and it felt like me. Yeah. And then there was this whole section of my closet of things I hadn't touched, and I bought because I was like, oh, that's cute, but it wasn't me.
Right.
So I think you have to learn to bifurcate, distinguish between I like this, and it's me, and I like this, and it's not me.
Oh,
and then you don't buy it if it's not you. It's okay to appreciate it and be like,
yes,
that looks great on you, for you, or for someone else.
Right.
You look cute. I love it.
It's not me. Yeah. Yeah. You look gorgeous and things that I am like, oh my gosh, I love that. I could never wear it. It just doesn't
You just wouldn't want to.
No, it doesn't feel right on me. It doesn't feel like me. So then you don't carry it well if you're not feeling your best internally.
Totally.
So I think that's it. You dress to what makes you feel, I wear way too much black, but it's my happy spot.
You've evolved a little bit over
I am who I am.
The end of the years to do, you're doing more like whites and grays with your hair, which
neutrals.
is looking really good.
My hair has changed up some of what I do. Yeah.
I freaking love your hair. So I want to talk in general, I think that there's a lot to be said, again, respecting the older generation, things you've experienced and been through at 68 is different than things I've been through. At 36 is different than things that someone's been through at 24 who's listening.
Yes.
And so on. What are some lessons that you wish you knew in your 20s and 30s, or maybe things that you sweated that you wish you didn't?
Things that I sweated.
What are some things that you maybe put too much focus on, or
I think through that, things that I've sweated,
or just lessons that you learned?
Yeah. I think probably we've touched on it with the friend thing. I remember when we first moved here, I started getting invited to all these luncheons and stuff, and they were all the people at the time that were all the very in crowd in Austin. And, I was having to dress up and go to this lunch and that lunch. And you feel like you're doing it because it's the right thing to do because you've hit the town. And, and all of a sudden I realized these were just not my people. They are lovely, but it was very much a facade of being with the right people
and pay attention to
right place.
Pay attention to how you feel when you're around people.
Yes.
Because there are some people that you spend time with and you leave and you're like, oh, I needed that. That energized me, or I feel so much better. I got chills saying that. It's such a truth.
Or you're exhausted.
Or you leave and you're like, oh my, I need to crawl in bed, take a shower. You feel icky or you feel tired or you feel, pay attention to how the people that you surround yourself with make you feel.
Yes.
I think it matters.
That's yes, and with you too, and with people you date. I mean, there are times you realize all of a sudden, my body's off. And
I talk about this all the time.
Do you? Yeah.
Yes, in past toxic situations when you were constantly sick, or you always had raging anxiety, or you never slept, or your face was super broken out, and you aren't used to doing that. A lot of times that's your
attention.
Body reacting negatively to someone's presence.
Yeah.
And just that energy.
It's just, and not conscious to you, but it's just, you realize things
what other
are
lessons?
Going on.
So be very protective of people.
And just, don't.
Of your time.
Yeah. And I think it's always kind of go back to be true to who you are. Don't do something because it appears to be the right thing to do, or the social thing to do, or you need to do this because it's,
this new restaurant just opened up and everybody's going to be there. I can't
be seen, see and be seen kind of thing.
If you're really interested in the restaurant,
Or
if it looks good,
go
for it.
Exactly.
But if you're just doing it, check yourself, check your motive. If you're just doing it because everybody's doing it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's a thing that's hard for your generation too.
Well, the social media world is like
social media world. So everything is so the same. One thing becomes popular and everybody, that would make me insane.
Yeah. I look at the end of the day, it's just what you say no to is just as important as what you say yes to.
Yeah, that would be example.
We're showing off every little thing and this and that.
But then everybody has to have it. So I don't know. It's hard to distinguish yourself in your world, I think, because the way y'all communicate, which is in some ways positive, but everything is instant and it's across the board. And so if, this cup
FOMO
becomes popular, now everyone owns it. And that would make me
and now throw out any other cup you've ever had because this is the one thing. Or like nail trends. Like y'all, my nails right now are so bad, but it's one of those things where it's everyone had chrome nails and this and that. And it's like, if you see the trend and you're like, this is really pretty. I love this.
Right.
That is for you. Go do it.
Excellent.
But don't just do it because other people do it. I think like trends can be fun. And that's the whole,
of course they can.
Influence for a reason. And I think you just have that internal temperature check where you look at something and you're saying, does this feel like me? Is this something I want to try? Is this exciting? Is this fun? Or am I just doing it to keep up with the Joneses because it's a trend, because I have to?
Yeah. So you're lucky that you get exposed to so much. But I think then you have to decide which one of those things works for you. Not that you can't love or appreciate one, but is that one really for you?
Totally.
That I think is tricky, and it's hard to that way. That's what creates your own unique style, though. I have a personal pet peeve of walking into someone's home and going, "Oh, I can tell you what department store they went into to buy their furniture because I can tell you what's around the corner before I turn." Well,
there's no like nothing eclectic or nothing collected. Every single thing is like
your
out
house,
of the catalog.
Yeah, like your house should be your personality. It may not make Architectural Digest, but it makes you smile when you walk in the door. And that is a blend.
Authenticity.
That's not reproducing Restoration Hardware in your home. They have beautiful pieces and maybe you want 3 of them, but
not 32 of them.
Yes.
I also think this is so random, but it made me think about it. Those are my favorite weddings too. The ones that you just walk in, you're like, oh, this is so-and-so.
Yeah.
Like the ones that really feel like them, that have that personality interjected into it. Not the ones that, this song is so them. And of course they put this there and this color way or whatever. Not just the ones that look like they're straight out of Pinterest, because those are the times when, again, it feels like you did it because you were supposed to do it.
Right. And that's hard. I think that's hard for your generation. There's a lot of pressure there because everything is also so visual and so put out. You are so often stuck with trying to curate it to look what you think is going to look great in a photograph.
Totally.
And
or
I
it's
think
always like a competition.
That's difficult. I feel sorry actually for you guys in that because everything is so out there.
Well, you don't have to partake in that. I think it's important to remember that. And you can choose what you put in your view. It's just like you can choose what you go and you watch on TV. You can choose what you consume. And I always say this, be very mindful as to what you consume because what you consume consumes you. And I've said this for years now, and I will say pretty fucking genius because what you consume consumes you. You can turn on a news channel. And maybe you have a preference on which one you watch. That's your choice.
Yes.
Same thing with following somebody on social media.
That's true.
Unfollow them.
Yeah.
If you're following people that make you feel like shit or like you have to keep up or
why are you doing
that's on you. Genuinely look inward, that's on you. You don't have to put yourself in that space if you don't want to. And know yourself. That bothers me. Maybe that doesn't bother me. I can look at somebody's I notice this in kids' birthday parties. People go, you would think it was, the way that some people go out for these birthday parties. We always had really fun, amazing birthday parties when I was younger. And I loved them. But the scale in which people do 1-year-old birthday parties now. And hey, guess what? If you love entertaining and if you want all that stuff, if that's you, by all means, do it. Live it up. Have the best time. It's not a judgment. It's just might not be for everyone. That's okay. You don't need to feel pressured.
Yes, that's it. The pressure to do it because Susie did it.
Totally.
So, and the pictures are going to show up on my Instagram. So I've got to outdo Susie or do as good as she did. And if it's for you, like you said,
if you love it and do it.
Do it. But that's the hardest thing, I think, is always checking yourself. Is this really me? Am I emulating something because I'm supposed to, or is it feel good for me?
Totally. And I think that you have to know if you have the strength and if you're grounded enough to consume that stuff and love it for someone else. Because I love that for you. Go off. I love it. You love it. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you and you feel competitive about what someone has does, then I think you should remove yourself from those situations.
Yeah. And you guys are lucky, though, that you get to see so much.
Yes.
You get, because it's wonderful. It expands your own creativity and your own ideas. But I think the trick is consuming a lot, but then picking what works for you personally. You may look at a lot of things and it may give you an idea for something else, or you may say, I love that, but it's not me, or I love that and I want to try it.
That's the healthy way to look at it, right? But I think if you can't view it that way yet, work on confidence, self-love, feeling grounded in who you are, and sort of take it out, and then maybe you can put it back in eventually.
Right. Yeah.
The other sort of last thing that I want to touch on is obviously you were married for a long time, successfully. Life always has ebbs and flows, but I would say absolutely you were each other's person, and I would say a very, very successful, healthy marriage. Tips for healthy marriages or just long-term relationships in general, things you should look for?
There is a balance. Again, I am not a psychiatrist. This is just my personal opinion from years of, I think the key for me is finding someone who, you share a lot of common things, whether that's values, upbringing, there's commonality there, but you also are very different in certain ways, because I think that enriches both of you. I think that's the key. I think if there are...
If you're too different.
You have to have enough in common on whatever level that is, that it works. But then I don't want someone who's just like me. I already got this. I need someone who brings something else to the table as to the other person. And it's not that you're changing them. It is example with your dad and I. He taught me to be tougher with things instead of, my Southern little upbringing was just more accepting of things that, something came wrong. Well, it's okay. They messed up or something. Well, no, call them and ask for it. He taught me to fight a little bit more for things where I probably just settled and shouldn't have. And on the flip, I probably mellowed him a little bit over the years. And you're not changing the other person, but you and I always talk about people look at life through their lenses. And so it is nice to have a partner who often has a different lens than you.
Totally.
And you can listen to it and process it and figure out what works for you in that way. Example, he would, you need to call the electrician and and yell at him about this. And I understood what he was saying, that this was wrong and it needed to correct it. But then I had to learn.
You had your own approach.
Call and put it in my words, and that worked for me. So I think it is finding someone who you share a base of commonality with whatever that is.
And they bring out the best in you and they help you grow, is what you're saying.
Exactly. But you also help each other in areas that you need. And you're not changing them, but you're just adding a different lens that allows you to sit back and think, well, maybe that I can blend that approach with mine.
I don't think for someone to do that, they have to actually be super different than you. I think really what you're saying, and they could be, is that they are able to provide perspective, though, and bring out the best in you regardless. Because I think someone could still help teach you values. Like I would say right now, my boyfriend's very grounding for me.
Right. But that's
that
what I'm
kind
saying.
of energy. It's things like that balance
his
each other.
Lens makes you listen a little different. If you're both so alike, what are you bringing to the table for each other? I think that's what we always say, you know, both of you feel like you outkicked your coverage. It is that,
totally.
That
was the one thing you've always said. You should both feel very lucky.
Oh, you both feel like you won.
Yeah.
Not someone settled and someone's, you know.
Or, they're so lucky only to be with me, but like, I'm still here with it. It's like, no, you should both be like, I feel so lucky. And they should say, no, I feel so lucky.
Exactly. And
that's hard to find though.
Yeah, it is hard to find. And then,
that's the point, I guess. Don't settle.
Don't settle. Yeah. But that's it. And it's just someone looks, you know, we all look differently through lenses, through life. And it's nice to have a partner who then can show you their lens a little bit, and you can then maybe blend it with yours when and if you need to, and you can do the same for them.
Absolutely. Well, Elizabeth.
Yes, Courtney.
It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Let us know. You guys obviously subscribe to Courtside with Courtney so you can be notified on our next episodes. And let us know if you want a part 3 with Liz, because I'll drag her in here if you do. We could just keep going. I mean, obviously, we talk like this every day, so we could just set the mic up. Let us know. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for being here, Mom.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.